Born in Sacramento, California on January 12, 1874, Laura May Adams Armer was the youngest of 3 children. Her father had been a farmer turned carpenter. He had even tried gold mining but didn't have much luck. Her mother earned her recognition as a seamstress. By the age of 16, Miss Armer had shown a fondness to sketching and painting. Later, her uncle would provide her with the money to enter the San Francisco School of Art. While in art school, Miss Armer would meet her future husband, Sidney Armer. He would later achieve fame as the highest paid commercial illustrator in California. In 1903, they would welcome a son named Austin. And unfortunately, in 1905, their infant daughter would die. Miss Armer doted on their son. He would become the new child pictured in many of her art photographs until he reached the age of 16 when he finally rebelled. And though Laura and Sidney would live apart during much of the Depression, for Sidney had found work in Detroit, they would continue to work together. Laura's books, for example, were illustrated in one of 3 ways: by Sidney alone, by Laura alone, or by the 2 working together. In the case of Waterless Mountain, the book for which Laura won a Newbery Medal in 1932 for the Best Children's Book of the Year, and she also won the Longmans Green and Company Prize for Juvenile Fiction for that same book. It has 4 illustrations by Laura, 1 by both Laura and Sidney, and the remainder by Sidney. Since Laura's passing, another printing of this book has been made. The cover is completely different. Waterless Mountain was published in 1931. Laura was 57 years old. It is the story of a Navajo Indian named Younger Brother. The story took place during the 1920s. Younger Brother's wish was to follow in the footsteps of his uncle and become a medicine man. To accomplish this task, he had to undergo several arduous years of training to learn all of the ancient songs and customs of his ancestors. This is a fictional account of the life of a present-day Navajo Indian boy. Through Younger Brother's advents, readers become acquainted with life within the Navajo tribe. From reading Waterless Mountain, one learns much about the Navajo Indian. For instance, sheep are very important for their wool and mutton. The women are the ones in charge of the sheep. They each must have their own herd. So, in order to do this, the woman gives her daughter 1 lamb each year as a gift until she eventually has built her own little herd. Each family sticks together and lives in a hogan. They remain together until it is time to marry and move on. Marriage can be very difficult, especially for a mother giving away her daughter. The mother sees her soon-to-be son-in-law only once, and that is the day her daughter has chosen the man she wants to marry. Afterwards, her mother cannot see her husband, not even on the day of her wedding. They will never be in the same room together, and she cannot see her daughter unless her son-in-law is not present. Each male, when old enough, gets his own horse. The many more horses he has, all the better, for in Waterless Mountain, Younger Brother's father gives away 10 horses so that elder brother can marry. The Navajo Indian have many chants and rituals for many different reasons. Laura made a film in 1928 titled In Navajo Land. Her ability to arrange for filming the mountain chant ceremony was remarkable. Her biggest challenge was that no woman could be admitted to sacred Native ceremonies. The Navajo also objected to her photographing or copying their sand paintings, so she asked exactly what was sacred about the entire process. Learning that sprinkling of pollen was the forbidden ingredient, she convinced the elders that she would not photograph this part of the process. Laura was the first woman to have a sand painting prepared in her honor and the first permitted to film the sacred mountain chant ceremony. Since some of the public showing were narrated by Navajos in native tongue, the mountain chant is considered to be the first all-Indian motion picture in an Aboriginal language. Following the success of Waterless Mountain, Laura would publish an additional 6 books, all with southwestern themes. Dark Circle of Branches was published in 1933. It was the story about the long walk which took place in 1862, when the Navajos were herded into the Canyon de Chelly by Kit Carson, then transported into 4 years of exile before they were assigned to their present reservation in northern Arizona and New Mexico. Cactus was published in 1934 and followed by Southwest in 1937. The Forest Pole was published in 1938. It was written and beautifully illustrated in color by Laura during a prolonged visit to Mexico. She would receive a Caldecott honor for this book in 1939. The original paintings for the illustrations of the Forest Pole are part of the Humboldt Arts Council's permanent collection. The Humboldt Art Council in the Morris Graves Museum of Art is located in Eureka, California. Farthest West was published in 1939, and In Navajo Land, her autobiography, was published shortly before her death. It was in 1923 when Laura was initially drawn to the Navajo, after having heard the Navajo song concerning Dawn Boy, a child of the white corn wandering in the House of Happiness. It was on this trip that she purchased her famed turquoise earrings. She had seen some she wanted and asked her friend Faye, who had lived among the Navajo, what she should pay for them. He replied, "If they are heart's desire, pay what equals heart's desire." Since few white women wore turquoise at this time, Armer's chance purchase gave her an entry to the Navajo. The Navajo would later call her the woman who wears the turquoise and hard-working woman. After 1936, Laura no longer visited the Southwest as part of her work. Unable to establish ownership of the 8-sided studio that she had built on the reservation, she was forced to consolidate her life and return to California. Laura and Sidney moved to Humboldt County in the late 1930s. Their colorful and beautifully designed garden was a never-ending joy to their friends. Young artists were particularly welcome and were given help and encouragement. Laura Mae Adams Armer, American contemporary author, artist, and filmmaker, passed away on March 16, 1963. She will forever be remembered for her work with the Navajo and for having written Waterless Mountain, for which the Navajo refer to it as such, because on its top and on all of its sides there is not one spring, but no one knows what may be in its heart. There are 6 directions always: east, south, west, north, above, and below. Below is the deep heart of things.